Hi, my name's Charlie.
And I'm Robert Babaw.
And my name is Yap. I'm Aaron.
And we're going to do a presentation on why the MCG within Melbourne should not be redeveloped. The MCG proves to be the coliseum of sport within Melbourne. The reason why it is so special is that it provides a meeting point for people to gather and cherish the sport they so love. The Melbourne Cricket Ground, is more commonly known as the MCG, is without a doubt an iconic piece of Australian sporting history that dates back as far as 1854. The MCG is renowned for being Australia's home of sport, with the capability of seating over 100,000 people. Two main sports adopted by the state are of course cricket and AFL, or the Australian Football League. At least 45 games of AFL are played here every year. Within this short video, we're going to talk about and actively discuss as to why the MCG and its surroundings should not be developed.
Yep.
Equally, many of Australia's values are embedded within the history of today's society. Much of Australia's culture celebrates the symbols and rituals of sport. Many of these events throughout the year, in particular Anzac Day, where a strong Melbourne derby is played between Collingwood and Essendon, which always attracts 80,000 plus people. No other stadium in the country will be able to hold this capacity. The first of many grandstands was built at the MCG in 1854. This was made of the original wooden members. However, the first public grandstand was roughly a 200-metre long stand, which was capable of seating 6,000 people. This structure was built in 1861. Another single stand capable of seating 2,000 people was made and was positioned so it was facing the way to the cricket ground and the other way to the park where the football was played. This structure was formally built in 1878. Ultimately, the roots of Melbourne's sporting dynasty started growing from its iconic sporting culture, dating back to its early days of when the Europeans originally settled Port Phillip Bay. One of the very first clubs made in Melbourne, the Melbourne Cricket Club, was then founded, only an incredible 3 years after settlement. This, for many of its early years, acted as a local point of the community of Melbourne for a range of sporting activities, notably cricket and athletics. These two sports were notably completed at the MCG.
Yep.
In terms of culture and from my personal point of view, the Australian Football League is by far the most popular type of league sport in Australia. It proves to be the national sport and is without a doubt far more popular than any other sport played in Western Australia, New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia. Sport has well and truly cemented itself here in Australia's national culture. Its reputation as a paradise of sport has become a largely unquestioned aspect of Australian identity. Melbourne as a city has the reputation of being the sporting capital of Australia, even in the world. And there are some historical grounds for this claim, which are explained earlier in the video. While the sporting obsessions of Australians in general have often been commented by international observers, the people of Melbourne seem to have a particular passion for both watching sport and also playing it. Obviously, there is no better area to watch a sport than the MCG. With its prime-time football during the weekends and its summer-long cricket schedule, the MCG in fact represents Australia's culture entirely.
Anthropology from the Greek word anthrologos, which refers to the study of man. The anthropology deals with the problems related to the human evolution and include general sense of the human body measurement. The Melbourne Cricket Ground is to develop a healthy community, as the researchers in the University of Western Sydney shows the people that watching sports could improve our lifestyle. In fact, the recording of activities on a human's nervous system is providing a measure of sport fan body's physiological response to any mental stress or physical stress, and that is genuinely has a positive effect to the mind and body. Watching sports has many direct and indirect benefits that affect people's health and well-being. Studies have shown that watching sports influence people in wanting to be involved. This leads to people doing more physical exercise. Physical exercise is good for the mind, body and spirit. Furthermore, team sports are good for learning accountability, dedication, and leadership, among many other traits. Another study has shown that feelings of loneliness are going to be at least temporarily lower during watching a sporting event. In fact, sports fans report lower level of loneliness whether or not the game is on. It has long been reported in psychology that feeling connections and affiliations with others is important for well-being. The MCG enables Australians and even wider communities to be able to affiliate and be a part of this well-being.
There are numerous benefits the MCG provides to the economy and tourism of this country, and I'm going to share those with you. Tourism brings many advantages in the area of job growth, company growth, and infrastructure. Having the MCG attracts tourists, which leads to more job opportunities. When we talk about job opportunity, it includes direct and indirect. Direct employment includes public transport, hotels, tour operator, and travel agencies. Indirect employment means those jobs working in activities which depends on tourism. For example, construction, financial services. As we can see, there are hotels, restaurants, and public services around the MCG. According to the research, there was 260 million jobs worldwide were offered and supported by travel and tourism. Another benefit is that tourism brings business to the local community. MCG is a tourist attraction place. Tourists spend money in the local community when visiting the MCG. The basic needs that tourism will spend money on are food, clothing, transportation, medical service, and accommodation. Nevertheless, tourists do in fact spend their money on souvenirs or amusement when they return to their country. When there are more visitors to the MCG from other countries and Australian states, the government will gain more tax dollars. This will allow the Victorian government to have enough funds to launch a new development project or facility to the community, such as schools, parks, public areas, and improve the roads. Another advantage that tourism brings is the opportunity to marketing. New services and new products from entrepreneurs are considered something new to the public. On the other hand, tourists could be the potential customer too. Appropriate strategies on business targets might lead the business into success and even expand their business to the international scale.
Victorian Government's report, Melbourne 2030, Planning for Sustainable Growth, has said that in the next 30 years, Melbourne will grow by up to 1 million people. Included with the growth of 1 million people is an additional 620,000 households. With this comes the implications of population dynamics. The average number of people in a household is becoming smaller, and new houses are becoming larger, expanding from a floor size of 169 metres squared in 1984 to 226 metres squared in 2001. With increasing house sizes and decreasing areas to put these houses, these factors are putting increased pressure on the government to plan and protect open spaces. First, we should understand the key functions of planned open spaces in the promotion of health and well-being of users is their ability to be used as a restorative environment. Restorative environments are those that promote restoration, the process of recovering physiological, psychological, and social resources that have become diminished in efforts to meet the demands of everyday life. With this in mind, should we consider redeveloping or urbanising the MCG? Redeveloping it into a complete open space seems unnecessary and more damning than keeping the present sporting ground and surrounding restorative environment as is. An onset of urbanisation was traditionally blamed for an erosion of a sense of community, with its attendant loss of identity, social control, and development of social isolation. Urbanising the MCG and surrounding restorative environments would definitely erode the sense of community, identity, social control, and would further develop social isolation of the Melbourne community. In doing so, this would also go against the government's own initiatives to protect open spaces under legislation and having them permanently reserved under the Crown Lands Act of 1978. Even if public opinion swayed the government's legislation by way of public vote, the MCG is listed on the Victorian Heritage Register and was also included on the Australian National Heritage List in 2005. The Melbourne Cricket Ground is more than a 162-year-old stadium. It's more than a building. It's something that has brought together the Melbourne community over its lifetime. Melbourne currently has sufficient open spaces already, and the joint social, economic, anthropological, and historical repercussions of removing one of Melbourne's and Australia's greatest icons will ensure that the MCG should and will remain open for quite some time.